Hello my friends, welcome to Happy Hips, coming at you from beautiful Maui. A little warmer here. In fact, I'm having trouble finding a spot where I can keep my face out of the sun. I'm sure you feel really sad for me about that. Okay, so we're gonna do most of this little session seated, some on hands and knees. Okay, surprisingly, nothing reclined today. We will stand for just a little bit of mobility work. But I want you to think of this as an opportunity to stretch all the way around your pelvis. When we're talking about the hips, way more than we can handle in 10 minutes. But we want to make sure we get into the front side of the leg where the quadricep attaches to the pelvis. We want to get our external hip rotators for sure on the outside of our hips. Of course, we want to get the glutes and up into our low back, as well as the groin area, so the inner thigh. So just think of that kind of going all the way around. If you're going to put together something on your own or want to know how to stretch out sore hips, make sure you're hitting all the way around your body. Okay, so we'll do the best we can. We're going to start in a seated position, bound angle or butterfly as I call it. So bottoms of the feet together. You can always prop yourself up on a pillow or on blocks if you need to, but I want you to bounce your knees at first here. So just sit nice and tall, bounce your knees. We want this to be as fluid of a motion as we can. So sometimes it feels really sticky and mechanical. We want to get to the point where we can just kind of bounce around. Okay? Try to keep a nice long spine. Imagine your back is against a wall here. Stack your spine, stack your vertebrae. Just feel like you're in a really good posture. Okay, we're gonna take one more breath. And then just pause, hold on to your feet or your shins or wherever you can to sit nice and tall and start to bend your elbows out towards your knees. The more open the knees are, the more open the hips are here, so keep that in mind. You might only be able to bring your body forward 1 degree, so you might just be leaning forward just slightly. Others will be able to bring their chest quite low down. Go to where you can. Go to where you can breathe. Let's take 2 deep breaths, in through the nose and out. One more time. And come all the way back up to seated. From here, we're gonna come on to hands and knees. And when you're in hands and knees, I want you to be in a really strong table pose. So your hands underneath of your shoulders here, spread your fingers nice and wide. We're gonna lift one leg at a time. I'll turn slightly sideways so you can see what's going on here, but as we lift our leg, we're bending our knee, okay? Engage your glute muscle. Imagine you're holding a plate on the bottom of your foot, and then we're going to open up our leg. Pull your knee forward, draw some huge circles. Imagine you're tracing a circle on a wall. As far up and around as you can get that hip to move. One more circle. Good job. Place both shins down, table, and just take your hips side to side. Just organic movement just to move through those joints. I know knees are tender and that can be tricky too when we're doing some of this stuff. As we go through this month, feel free to have pillows, blankets. You can roll blankets and put them underneath each knee if you need to. Just try to make yourself as comfortable as you can. We'll do the opposite side. Okay, so nice strong table. Lifting that opposite heel up. Imagine you're holding a plate and engage your glute muscle. Use your bum. Okay, pull your knee forward and around. Pay close attention to range of motion as you're going through this. So one leg might be drawing much bigger circle than the opposite, or maybe just the sensation in the hip joint is different from one side to the other. Anything you can learn about yourself is helpful and useful feedback, okay? Helps you use your body better when we're not in our practice. One more circle. Good job, guys. Okay, both shins down. We're gonna come into child's pose. So my favorite way to child's pose is big toes together, knees nice and wide. Your first thought is hips to heels. Sit all the way back and then drop your chest. While you're hanging out in this pose for a few breaths, I mean, you can stay here for a couple minutes. For this video, we won't. But let your hips open as much as you can and channel your breath. Try to breathe all the way down in towards your low back Fill your belly up, relax your legs, relax your chest. Take one more deep breath. Good job. And then let's draw our bodies forward. Again, just give the hips a little shake. We are going to come up to standing. So two of my favorite ways to work on our hip mobility. Okay, the first one here, we're gonna stand with our feet about mat distance, point your toes forward. Okay, just a little bend in both knees to come in and out of this, and we're gonna lift up the left heel. So lift your heel, you wanna rotate inwards all the way up and through your femur. Okay, bend your knees. See if you can drop that knee down. Okay, bring it back to square, opposite side. Lift your heel, rotate inwards, bend your knees, come all the way down. We can go quicker through it. Try not to move your hips all at once. Sometimes taking your hands onto the front of your pelvis will really help you to feel what's happening and how you're moving. Once more each way.
No, we're done.
Good job. Just pause. Let's take a forward fold. Try to keep your legs straight. So even if you need to come just halfway, that's fine. Hold your hands to your knees or your shins. Push back into your glutes, back into your hips. If you can come all the way down, go for it. Let that low back stretch, okay? Try to relax through your upper body as best as you can here. Lift up through your sit bones. One more deep breath. Awesome. Bend your knees. Just come back up to standing nice and gently here. Okay. Next one, Malasana, or our yogi squat. So just drop as low as you can through this. What we want to do is have our heels just on the edges of our mat here. Turn your toes out. Come to a nice tall standing position. Reach your arms forward. Start to bend your knees. Imagine you're being pushed underwater, pushed down by the top of your head. You might come halfway. Others can drop all the way down. Okay? Once you're in your yogi squat, hands down. You can be up on your tippy toes if you need to be getting into the inner thighs a little bit more. If you feel comfortable here, just gaze forward. Breathe. Open your knees. Feel the openness through the groin, the hips, okay? The sit bones, you're gonna feel like a pie shape through your pelvis. One more deep breath. Good job, guys. Take your hands down to your mat. We're gonna just lean forward here and step back to hands and knees. You guys, give your hips a little shake. We're gonna finish off with what's called mermaid, or it's called deer pose for some of you. Some yoga teachers call it deer pose. I call it mermaid. So what we wanna do is sit in basically double triangles. So bringing your right shin across the front of your mat to begin with. Okay, and then your left leg back as mine is. Try to grab a hold of your calf muscle and see if you can kind of roll it open, and just sit as square as you can. You might feel like you're on a teeter-totter. Sitting and breathing, sometimes just stillness is the most helpful. We need to allow gravity to, put some pressure on the tendons and ligaments that are held so tightly in the pelvis. So just sit, breathe. We're gonna take our hands nice and wide, tent on your fingertips, okay? Drop your chest forward. Just let your back round. So the hip that is stretching here is your front hip, and all the way up into those spinal extensors that run up the side of your back, okay? See if you can feel that. Sometimes if you're really tight, you'll feel this in an assortment of areas, but that's what is most under tension. Come all the way back up. Good. Over to the side to release from this, and we'll go the opposite way. Left shin across, right foot back. Adjust as you can until you bring your hips into a nice square position. Just sit here. Sit really nice and tall. Take some deep breaths in and out. Patience, right? Look at the palm trees behind me. Okay, tense your fingertips nice and wide. Bend your elbows, drop your chest forward. Just get into that front hip. Keep breathing. Couple more breaths. Good job, guys. Come all the way back up. We're gonna do one final position here, and I'm just gonna move my very fancy camera system. We are coming into a modification of frog pose. So if you're aware of what frog pose is, it's really an adductor, so inner thigh stretch and a groin stretch. This is a modification. So we're gonna bring our toes together, different than frog where we bring our feet wide, okay? So toes together, knees nice and wide. Sit back towards your heels for a moment and come up. Now, if your ankles and your knees can handle this, you're ready to progress. You're gonna come forward, you're gonna lean forward instead. So come onto your forearms, start to walk your arms towards the front. At this instance, I mean, it's tough on the grass, but we should be able to slide our knees wide. You can always walk them wide more manually if you need to. Still pull those toes together. Do the best you can here. Great job, you guys. Just stay here, I don't know, a few more seconds. This is the last pose we're ending with, so you can be here as long as you need to be. I'd suggest some walking, maybe stand and do some leg circles. Just really give it your best effort to include some hip stretches in your everyday routine. It's really gonna make a difference into how your low back feels, how your leg muscles feel, your knees. You gotta think of all the things that link to the hips, right? They can be the source of a lot of tension through our body. And so stretching them is very effective in helping relieve tension elsewhere. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again tomorrow. Namaste.